Welcome back to the Dial Pod. We are here again in 2026 this time. 2025 was crazy for us. Put out a ton of episodes. It went well.
I thought you were serious for a sec. How many episodes did we put out in 2025? Like 4? 3?
I don't even know. Something small like that, not very much. But we're back here again. We want to start kicking off the pod again and taking it a lot more seriously. We were talking about it the other day or the other week about how we wanted to start getting into it. And, something that I kind of said on my side is, hey, if we're going to do it, I want to 100% do it or 0% do it. And so here we are. And that means we want to take it seriously, and we're going to be putting out consistent episodes. And we're excited about that.
Yeah, pretty solid, because I was kind of saying I wanted to get back into content this year somehow, but I didn't know how it would look. And I feel like the podcast is honestly the lowest barrier to entry, where it's still like good conversations, because we're able to talk all the time, deep conversations anyway. So why not just put it on? And I've had people tell me also in person when I was back home in Colorado, you guys should start doing the podcast again. And then Zane, shout out Zane.
And shout out, he got 6K followers. Fucking go, dude.
He's hitting 10K soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zane at the gym was like, yeah, you guys' pod is part of the reason I started content. And I was too scared to film myself before I saw you guys doing that. And I was like, dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that was cool to hear. But I enjoy doing the podcast. It's just last year with content, I just had no motivation at all. And I don't really still love doing content with of myself, but I think the podcast will be good for this year.
Yeah, it's super fun for us.
If we're consistent, I think it could be really good in a lot of different aspects.
Yeah, and we want to get on a lot of guests too. We haven't figured out exactly what the ratio will be, but we want to start inviting a lot of guests. And two, one thing I wanted to mention, one of the biggest kind of roadblocks for us was that we moved to a new place. Originally, we were in a different part of Tampa. We moved to save a little bit of money at the time, and our place now just isn't as aesthetic, and it gets really horrible natural lighting on the inside as well, interior. And so it's just really hard to find a good filming location for anything to look good. If you look back, we did post a couple pods in there, and it just didn't look great. And I mean, that was an excuse, but at the same time, it really did, at least on my side, it felt like it held me back from wanting to do it. And so we knew that we had to transition into something else. And that's why we're out here today, still in the same complex and everything, but found this cool little spot with the palm trees in the back.
This is our mansion. We got a new mansion. No, I'm just kidding.
We're probably going to run it up here for a while until we move and maybe build a little studio in our house or something. But yeah.
Hopefully 6 months down the road from now, we have a house. We got an office space or an extra bedroom or something to make a studio out of. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
For sure.
But no, I don't think it is kind of an excuse that we didn't film them, but also at the same time we filmed other episodes and they kind of just turned out pretty trash. We filmed one with Pierce and then we filmed 2 solo ones, but they just weren't that good.
Yeah.
I just didn't really want to post them for one, and then for two, it's kind of if you already don't really want to do something and then all these external factors make it even worse, it's kind of just makes it way less of a chance that you're gonna do it. It is an excuse, but at the same time, if you have all these different excuses for why not to do something and you already don't really want to do it that much, it's there's a 0% chance you're gonna do it. So I think that's kind of why. But
yeah, super true. I feel excited right now though, so
facts.
Feels right. Let's jump into it though. We want to get into some of what both of us have been doing within business and just our lives. So start with you. Give a little detail on what you've been doing, because it's been a switch up from what you were doing before.
Yeah, so middle of last year or beginning of last year, I had a lot of aspirations with agency stuff, so content, marketing, and then I kind of learned a lot more about ads in the past year, especially working with you. We kind of figured out some things that do really work for service-based businesses. So getting those results, I was super motivated with ads and the marketing side. And around that time, I had 2 clients, big clients or big deals, kind of fall through, and it kind of I think subconsciously demotivated me from agency stuff, because that would have been I would have tripled or doubled or tripled my monthly revenue, recurring revenue. which would have been massive. And those things just didn't go my way. And then around the same time, I'd like discovered my childhood card collection of Pokemon cards. And I was like, these have an insane amount of value. This is like around March or April, so kind of earlier this year. But then in summer, like July and August, I started going to shows and selling cards, and met a lot of insanely good friends through that. Got a lot of good networking. Started traveling for that, so doing card shows. But yeah, it's just like a whole nother business. I'm not sure if anyone watching is, but if you are like into that scene or tapped in at all, you would know like the market's been crazy in the last year. It's kind of like the stock market or crypto in a sense, except it's been like steadily like increasing in volume. Like the amount of people that are getting into it and transacting within that space is like crazy within the last year, and it's still rising. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of different stuff within that, and there's a huge business element of it, like sales, marketing, and psychology. Like you're always marketing yourself, and people are only going to want to transact with you like if you have a good reputation and a good brand. So relationships are the number one thing, which is kind of the same thing as the marketing business.
I feel like it's been like cool to watch because it's so different from like anything I've ever been around and like even like thought of. It's just a different space, so it's been cool to like learn about it from my side. I'm wondering, like, because I've seen like your life change a lot over the past, so months since you started getting into that because of, so many factors. Not only like did it switch up like what you were doing on like a day-to-day basis, but you found a lot of friends through it. So it brought a big social aspect to your life, and as well as like a lot of other things. And so I'm wondering like what are the biggest shifts you've realized in your life, or like biggest things you've learned about your life or yourself in the past like 6 months? If you had to give like three things since kind of shifting what you were focusing on, what's kind of affected your life?
Yeah, I think 3 things is like pretty tough to get to just for like off the top of my head, but one thing that I can definitely say is I was like way more like in my own world, I guess, and like kind of I don't know what the right word is, but kind of thinking that like I'm doing everything like by myself kind of, and like with the marketing stuff, I just like didn't have that much motivation or drive to like go after it, like just from within myself. But being around so many other people who are doing like so well all the time and making friends through it and seeing just like how easy it is to scale up and like build that business, I realized like, well, I'm pretty smart and I have these other like marketing and sales and psychology knowledge, and then to bring it into that, I just started like, not ascending is kind of like a weird term, but like I started like making really good connections and making like huge improvements in terms of like just inventory size, and like the size of the deals I was making just like rapidly started going up. And now like people are coming to me asking me for advice, all that kind of stuff. And I really only started in the business like 8 months ago, which is pretty short, but I've had knowledge on it for like a long time since I was younger.
Yeah.
But other people I just don't think consider like how easy it is to make money in it in a certain aspect. But in terms of other ways I've developed personally, I've definitely been more social, but that's just because like I have to have a higher social battery because I'm like almost every weekend, 1 or 2 days for 10 hours, I'm talking to people, and like I have to be likable because like that's what's going to lead to making money. And also it's just fun. Like a lot of the people in the space are really cool to be around. So my social battery's definitely increased. And then travel as well. Like traveling for the big shows. I've enjoyed that a lot, but also like it's hard to stay on a good routine with that because I'm always like doing something different.
Yeah. I bet the social battery is huge because like, how you kind of said that has affected that directly and really improved, because you started being around people winning in that space, showing like what's possible and just motivating you and everything.
Yeah.
And just being more social, getting out of like your comfort zone, able to find like new connections that have really helped you. That's going to help in like all the other areas of life. And then any other, venture that you go into in the future, you're going to be able to use that, and it's going to help you, ascend to a new level in whatever future venture that is. So that's really cool. I think that's really awesome. I had something else to say. I just can't quite remember what it was, but yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's been good. And kind of going home to Colorado like the past few weeks before I came back to Florida, end of December for like Christmas and New Year's. I was doing a lot of like reflection on how I can take those skills and like take my motivation and like enjoyment of that hobby slash business and take it into the marketing agency, because I still know the amount of opportunity I have with like what I've done so far and like the things I've seen that haven't worked have worked, resources at my disposal, like just the connections that we both have, or like basically the ability of like a ceiling that I could have with that business, I know is so high that if I
Yeah.
just put like a little bit of grind in for the first few months of the year, I can get like insane results and be able to travel and do a lot of stuff that I want to do. Because the good thing about the card business is that I can dedicate as little or as much time to it and still get like a really good result out of it. Like I can do nothing outside of just showing up to the shows and do really well. The online business side of it has become like kind of big now, and I think like this year it'll become really big. But even if I wanted to, I could still time block that and like work on agency, or like work on that in the second half of the day and work on like agency in the first half of the day, which is one of my like big ideas. But it's been going really good on that side of the business, and I feel like I still have like a ton of time to put into agency stuff. And in the first week, I already signed one client for agency, like the first week of January, because I started working on a ton of stuff, like just planning for the year on my way like to Colorado, flying there, and then kind of figuring things out there, talking to some business owners, getting some, I mean, I call it like market research or like an independent study, but that was just like, I just wanted to put a term on it. But that was just interviewing business owners like how me and you talked the other day. And I'm going to use all that data to just create a better offer, and then start using all the resources at my disposal, which is like, I literally know so many people and so many business owners that it will be so easy once I have a really good offer to like start working with people.
Yeah.
Because even the things that me and you talked about, I mean, the results that you got were like insane. And imagine if that could be replicated throughout like, and you had crews to be able to handle that like lead flow. If that was every single month, I mean, you'd be in the green like insane,
Yeah.
like whatever 10x or whatever you spent on ads.
Do you think the marketing side of things and the Pokemon side of things will be able to coexist at like higher levels, or do you think as you start to dive into each of them more, or as like the marketing side starts to grow into what you want it to become, do you think you'll kind of have to lean into one more than the other?
I'm not sure, because like a big part of the Pokemon space and any type of business like that is that capital like wins every time. So like if I have the marketing agency doing really well and I can even put more capital into that other business, it's going to be able to be way more self-sustaining. Like I could do way more in less time with more capital in the Pokemon business. So I could spend way less time, but if I had more capital, like I would be able to make way bigger like jumps. Does that make sense? Like I could go to maybe 1 or 2 shows a month with X amount of money or X amount of inventory or capital. Let's say I'm able to like put some cash flow from marketing into that. I'd be able to accomplish way more than going to like 3 or 4 shows a month with like a lower inventory or less amount of money to be able to like spend or do deals or like basically just like move money between different places. You know what I mean? So that's like one element of it. The other side of it is I don't think I've really ever like pushed the envelope on the marketing business like how I know I could. And I feel like right now I have a lot of like free time, I guess you could say, or like time that's like leaked energy into different areas. And if I like channeled that, I think it would elevate both businesses. So I think they can coexist like at least at a higher level than they are right now. Like both of them individually and together could like be at a higher level than they are right now. But I mean, to go to like a super high level, like where it's like really great, I mean, I don't think so. But I kind of like the card business as more like a hobby anyway. Just right now, I'm leaning more into it because it's making good money, and like my marketing thing, or I'm not really focusing on anything else that's making money. So like that's kind of like sustaining part of my life at the same time, Like, so I'm going to put a little bit more emphasis on that. And it's just fun right now. Like, I don't know how long the scene will be as good as it is right now, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's really awesome. I feel like the marketing too, I feel like it's pretty high ticket. I feel like you know, won't take that much to get to being able to operate at like a pretty good level, making a good amount of like monthly revenue.
Yeah.
Especially when you set up, the right pieces in place, in terms of like editors, possibly even filmers,
Yeah.
And especially if it's recurring too, you're working with these businesses at a recurring level. I feel like it won't be that hard to get to that point. And I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like with that business, you probably don't deal with like too much or too much variance within like, for example, I don't feel like there would be too many possibilities where like a client receives the work and is like pissed with the outcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. There is like churn on the back end because I want to be signing clients for like a 6 or 12-month deal, like upfront. So there has to be proof of results to get that like buy-in. That's why right now I'm trying to figure out a system and an offer that is like replicable in different businesses or maybe even in different niches that can get like a floor result that is like really satisfactory. You know what I mean? So like any money that they're putting in, they're getting back, like threefold, fivefold plus. And so it's like no question, like they'd be stupid to not basically work with me, But there is churn, like, and I've had churn just because of like communication issues on my end, communication issues on their end, just like not being a good fit, different things like that. But I agree with you to like a certain extent. But I think like there's churn in every business. But if you don't like do a great job, because there's that's so saturated, like why would someone stay with you or go with you if there's always another person promising more results, like marketing agencies or SMMA or whatever you want to call it. Those businesses, like there's literally like hundreds of thousands of people trying to pitch these businesses, and they're all like okay, or like they're all getting some results, but like people are just gonna leave you at this point, especially in an area like ours, because there's so much opportunity and there's always like a new shiny object. So my offer has to be good enough to keep people and sign them on like 12-month deals.
Yeah. And I feel like one of the hardest parts would be like the back end systems of the whole kind of process. And that's why I think right now you should really dive into creating that stuff, since you have the time. That way when you're able to land the clients, they can kind of, they can kind of be integrated into those systems, and you kind of have everything already built out, like so communication systems, where that way, like you said, communication is one aspect that maybe had tainted some of your relationships within that business. But if you can like nail that down and never have that be a problem again, that would be huge, because I think that building the systems and the automation for everything, to like eliminate as many possible like problems as you can up front is going to like lead to like long-term success, and also take away more admin work. That way you can still like prioritize like the Pokemon side of things too, you know what I mean? Just free up time, because I think that's the hardest part about like business that like a lot of people don't think about. Like, sure, it's like, okay, find client and provide X result, X service, whatever, find potential client, sell product to them, whatever. Business that like, when you look at it, that is like extremely simple, but it goes so much deeper than that. There's so many different things that you have to think about and build systems for.
And you don't always want to be chasing the next client. Like at some point, and that's the same thing with me. Like at some point, I don't want to just be filming the next video or filming the next reel or editing the next ad or whatever. Like I do want those people in place so I can just go to like Cape Town or Portugal for like a month, and that's something that I feel like me and you can both get to in our businesses within the next like 1 to 2 years for sure.
Yeah,
because
I
like
hope so.
To do certain things, you don't really need that much money. You just need like freedom and stability in the money that you have. You know what I mean? Like 10K a month is nothing, but if you have 10K a month and you can rely on that 10K a month coming in for the next 12 months, and you have your systems in place that are gonna like that, there's like a 95% chance that nothing goes wrong. And like, even if something goes wrong, like you have that cushion to be fine for like a while, like that's when you can kind of start doing more stuff and being like a little bit more like free,
that's right on the spot. I think most people who like want to start a business, want to get into business, myself included, when I was younger, I envisioned it as like freedom, right? I envisioned it as getting to a certain point, making a certain amount of monthly income and having the freedom to do whatever I want to do. But I think it's a very like backwards equation, and a lot of people, then find out that is backwards, and like being an entrepreneur a lot of times is a million times more work than a job would ever be.
Yeah, people
end up extremely hard to actually get to that point of freedom. I think starting a business and like making like getting to 10K a month is like the easy part. Obviously that's not like easy, like it's still really hard, but like that's the easy part. But being able to get there and not being stressed out of your mind all the time, always working, always having an obligation to do something, like you were talking about, that's the extremely hard part, and that's the part that most people can never get to.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people can have a 10K month. I mean, even with the card business, I mean, I've had like a 8K month and then like 2-3K on the agency side at one point. I mean, that's like pretty insane, but that you can get that off of circumstance, luck, how the market is, like being in a certain environment, a certain time. But like to sustain that is completely different. And you can, a lot of people, like especially me and kind of you at the same time, like you chase the money at first and then you realize like, okay, if you get like the money to a certain extent, but you don't have anything to like replicate that, or like you don't really know like how you did it, or you're working, a lot of people are working, it's kind of like you said, a lot of people avoid college or like a 9-to-5 and become an entrepreneur and end up working like 80 or 100 hours a week instead of 40, just to get X amount of money, and then realize that like it wasn't the money they wanted, they just wanted like the time freedom. But like now there's, to make that money or to replicate that money, they need to work 80 or 100 hours the next week for like eternity to replicate the result, but that's kind of why I like what I'm doing too, because I feel like I can work like so little and get like a good result, but that's also like way too comfortable, of a position. Like if I ever want to ascend or like go to a different lifestyle, or like really have something that I'm like passionate about and like want to build and improve on, then I have to like change my mindset and like the way I look at it,
Yeah. But that's dope though. I think that's a really good position, because you kind of coming into the new year, like, kind of with that idea in your head, and if you keep like pursuing the marketing stuff, that can be that back end thing that can kind of rise and like kind of fill that role, and then that's really cool that you kind of have like the two things going on.
Yeah, and I feel like 2025 wasn't really like a business oriented year for me as much as I like wanted it to be going into it. It was a way more like personal oriented year where like I worked through a lot of like past stuff that I needed to get like closure on. I worked through a lot of present stuff that like gave me a lot of new like realizations, like personally, between like relationships, making new friends, things like that. Like it was definitely like a tougher year on the personal side, but I like feel like I learned a ton that was like maybe more valuable than some business stuff I could have worked on, like going into future relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
What?
I'm just looking at something. There's this guy who I always see walking around our complex. That guy right here. He's the guy that walks like this.
All right.
Like, I don't know what kind of like condition he has. Some sort of condition, but bro, he has a Corvette. He was just wiping down the wheels.
He's probably just a detailer.
Oh, you think so?
Could be. I mean, it's my vet.
Shit.
No, I'm just kidding.
Will be.
Nah, yeah.
The yellow's pretty clean.
I wouldn't get that. That's like highlighter color. It's like green.
I kind of like it.
Like green, yellow. But
anyways.
Yeah. No, stay tuned though.
Will 2026 Corvette incoming.
Yeah, bro.
Wait for that pod.
I got the fund, bro. The fund's already building. But yeah, bro. I need to hit 8K a month, 3 months in a row, minimum, to get it. Save up like 30 grand. No, do it.
Nice.
But no, yeah. I think this year we definitely need to focus on like fostering a really good group of guys for accountability, like Luke and stuff like that, Pierce, like all keeping us on the ball and like focused on business, because that's when I stay the most motivated, when I'm like talking to you consistently, bouncing ideas off you, you're giving me your inputs, when we go work places together, when I talk to Luke about business, like checking in, that's when I get the most progress, because I'm like, bro, it's so easy to keep a good momentum if you just like don't let your foot off the gas.
I think it could be cool to do a weekly or bi-monthly call men's boot call.
Kind of like Tradesman's Society, but like it'll just be people we know more,
Right.
which is like what you wanted anyway. But
Yeah, we should set that up.
for sure.
Oh, and I was actually talking to Pierce yesterday about the Tradesman's Society. He wants to run it up again.
Yeah, bro. Pierce, yo, you
So I
text
actually
me,
think
bro.
that could be exciting. But so if any of you are interested in starting a service-based business and scaling it, or just learning more about it, a few months back we started something called the Tradesman Society. Basically a Discord community for people who are interested in that, want to start learning about it, want to start taking it seriously. So we'll probably leave the link in the description. So if you're interested in that, just join. I think it'll be free for now, so you can just get in there and see what's up. But yeah. And yeah, we were talking about, obviously we need to like talk to you about it, but we were talking about like definitely having you like help us out with that if you'd be open to like the marketing side and things.
For sure. Yeah. I think it could be massive. It's just like we all have like separate focuses right now that like require so much attention.
That's kind of what I told him. I told him that
it's like extremely difficult.
I haven't even been thinking about it just because I've been like super busy too, and it's just like I didn't really think, at least by myself, it was worth the diverted attention, and that's kind of what I told him. That's what I was telling him originally. I wanted his help, like, because I knew it wouldn't work by myself at the time, and so but I think it could work if we all collaborated. And I told him that we need to figure out what's the exact product that we want to sell. We need to figure out how do we do that with the least committed time possible.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Because I'm the least deep in something, but you and Pierce are both running like 6-figure, 7-figure service businesses that you're fully operating, and like you guys don't have anyone managing anything on operations. It's like fully you still.
Yeah.
Like you guys don't have the employees in place to even have that kind of time at all.
Yeah, we said we need someone to like basically run it. But yeah, could be exciting. A little avenue, but we'll see. There's so many different possibilities, and like for this year, I'm not gonna like, I don't know, really, I don't know. I'm not gonna fully like, I don't know. Like if it happens, great. If it doesn't,
yeah, for sure. Do you want to go a little bit into what you've been working on and how the past like 6 months have been for you? Because you've made some pretty insane progress, in my opinion.
Sure.
And like the year should start out pretty good. Just
Yeah.
give like, you don't have to leak all your secrets, but you know, give some overview.
Past 6 months. Let's see. Definitely feel like last year was like huge for me. Really in every area like possible. Really my whole entire life. Like the way I grew as a person, the way I grew in my business, really everything. I feel like I learned a lot about myself last year. I definitely don't think it was like exactly, I didn't, reach everything I really had set out to reach. Really hardly anything, but I definitely grew a lot and experienced a lot of different things. The business saw like a lot of success towards the end of the year. Throughout the beginning of the year, it wasn't very good. Towards the end of the year, there was the one ad on Instagram Boost that just popped off. I think we had spent like,
it was like $455.
Yeah, I think it stopped doing good at like 350, 300.
Yeah.
So we really spent like 300, 350 and got back like, I don't even remember, like 50, 60,000.
Yeah, I think it was like 56,000 revenue and like what is 20,000 profit, 15,000 profit.
Something like that, really good. And through that ad, a couple of the leads were general contractors, companies doing new builds and different projects like that, and that's really what like set it off. So I got the one really big project that I think was $40-something thousand for drywall and paint for a new home build, and then now with that GC we got another contract which was a dental office where we did all the painting, and then they have a new home build that we're going to be starting soon. And then back to that lead, there was a GC that is a big company. They do a lot of work in St. Pete, and we got a project for them. They let us know that they want us to be their number one partner, and that they have like 8 new builds in the lineup, which is huge. So met a lot of relationships like that, which has just been changing the game, because before then I was selling directly to homeowners. So a bathroom remodel, a kitchen remodel, flooring, painting, drywall to homeowners, which is a lot harder because you're having to find a new homeowner every single time, and that previous homeowner typically isn't bringing you the new homeowner. So you're reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
You're having to spend to acquire the new customer, and
That's what I mean. You're always
customer,
you're always chasing a dollar. Like you're always chasing the next dollar.
every single customer is a new person, and they want something different. And when you're providing 10 different services or 20 different services, it's so much harder than doing the boring thing and providing one service over and over and over and over, because there's more variance of the amount of problems that you can have. And it just becomes so much harder to make money. And so it's changed the game working for people who are providing bigger contracts and recurring work
Yeah.
within a limited amount of scopes.
Yeah. Your average job size is like 10 to 20x what it was before, right?
Yeah. And so, yeah, and really kind of defined a couple relationships with a couple really good crews. So the business aspect really took off. And I mean, I think a lot of that was, I mean, it was all luck. Obviously, I did the work to get myself to the position. I did the work long enough to receive
You got the break.
luck,
Yeah, you got the break on the ad.
which is what life is.
Yeah.
But yeah, really great stuff there, and really excited for the new year. Just started yesterday, $130,000 project that I made happen, which is super cool, and I'm super proud of myself for that because I really thugged that out.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
been a long time in the works, and
I swear that
really,
lead came in like March of 2025, bro.
it came in a long time ago. She ghosted me for a while. She came back, and then I really had to, find the different puzzle pieces scattered around and put it together, and, met with a few GCs. One of them didn't go right. Finally, nailed one down, and I had to, navigate working with a trust that the homeowner has, and just all these different pieces.
Insurance and all that. Crazy.
Really proud of myself for navigating that and putting that together. So that's super exciting. And so, yeah, they started that yesterday with the electrical work and then a lot of other stuff to get done, but hoping we can wrap it up in about 6 weeks would be really great. Yeah, super cool. And other good stuff with the GCs and other GCs and builders, and hoping this year I can step into the commercial side too. We're talking to my buddy Pure Sue, pressure washing company in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And he's been doing a lot of the commercial stuff. And
Yeah.
Talking to him yesterday, I don't even know how he's moving at the rate he is. He definitely is more. He's more. I wouldn't say serious about the business, but he's just doing it much, much more differently than me.
Yeah, I don't think he cares about anything except building the business. I genuinely think he's just not sleeping, not spending time on anything else because he doesn't feel the need to and doesn't want to. And I feel like that's probably Pierce, you could leave it in the comments if you're watching this, if I'm on the money here. But Pierce says Mississippi's so boring, there's nothing really for him there except business. So why not grind now and fully go into it? Because once he does that, he was saying if I lived in Tampa, I don't know how I'd work. He said he would have motivation, but the distractions are crazy.
And I don't know.
I think it's just wiring.
I just can't
you think
do
he's
that.
wired different?
I could possibly, and I do feel like I do that. I do feel like I work a ton and give my all, but it's within the limits of, I still have a dog to take care of. I still have a romantic relationship that I'm trying to develop. I have friendships that I'm trying to develop. I have my health that is a big kind of focus for me right now. And just so many different things, but yeah, super happy with where that's at.
And I think he'll have the times to dive into those at some point, and he'll want to prioritize that. But everyone's path is just completely different. I'm I think I'm somewhere in the middle of you two, to be honest, too.
Yeah.
But it's actually it's awesome to see that he has so much passion on it, though. I definitely take a lot of
he's grinding.
Not even from what Pierce says a lot of the time, but just from what he does and just how much progress he makes every time I talk to him. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, he's doing a lot of commercial stuff, and he landed that all-day contract, I think, here in Florida.
That's nuts.
And so, anyways, I definitely want to step more into that this year.
Yeah.
Probably towards the later end of the year, because I have a lot of things I still want to do. But I think that the commercial stuff could, I don't know for sure because I don't have the experience in it, but take it even to the next level. How I was talking about the the transition from like selling to homeowners to then working with GCs and on new builds. I think that the commercial side would even be a step up. So I want to start doing the Dollar Trees, Walmarts, AutoZones, like those types of builds.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Yeah, and then possibly even having the crews travel, starting with just all of Florida, putting them in like hotels, and then maybe even expanding outside of Florida.
Yeah, I think once you have the right like employees and like it's just the system, building the systems up, and then once you have the relationship in the system, I mean, you can make it happen. But I think once you have the right employees in place, like a VA and like a op or like a CEO or whatever you want to say, someone managing the jobs, or what would you call it? Job manager?
Project manager.
Project manager, yeah. I think once you have that and like VA and a little more time, you'll be able to handle that for sure. That'll be crazy. It's like the jump from that, like the jump from what you were doing like even 6 months ago or a year ago to like that in like only a year or two or like a few years is actually insane if you think about it.
The most exciting, because it's all exciting. There's so many different directions that I can go in, and like so much new things. It's just exciting. It's fun. But I think the most exciting part, which makes it all more exciting, is that like I think the biggest transition that has happened in my life is getting out of survival mode. So not being as dead broke as I was.
Yeah.
Where, like,
I mean, I've seen that. That's been crazy, like difference.
I think that's been the biggest change like my whole entire life, and it's been able to. I've been able to like show up to my relationships more, and like in romantic relationships, like my girlfriend has said, like she thinks I like treat her way better, and the reality is, like I told her, like it's like literally the only reason is I have more money, and so like. It's been crazy to really realize now getting out of survival mode. I mean, I knew how much it affected me, but it's crazy. Like now I have a whole new perspective on how much that really affected me. And like, it's like sad in ways because like that is like really hard. And that's something that like, it's just crazy. And now, I feel like now in my personal life, I'm having to do like a lot of unlearning because that like really messed me up in like how I like interacted just in life in so many different ways. Like it really messed me up, and so now I'm having to kind of like unlearn that and like find myself again.
Yeah You talked a lot about the business side. I was going to ask next about the personal side. Is there anything you feel like you really learned, or I guess you learned that you had to unlearn in the last like few months or 2026? Any big takeaways personally that like come to mind?
I mean, so many, because, I'm always thinking about that stuff and taking notes and everything. One that actually was on my mind a couple days ago that we haven't talked about, so I'll share this one, is somehow I found on YouTube my high school graduation video. It's a class of 2021, and it showed at the beginning just pictures of everyone. And I watched the whole thing. I watched it on like 2x speed, but I watched like the whole thing pretty much because it was just so like, wow, because I don't really talk to anyone, and so it was good to kind of like, I don't know, it's just good to reminisce. But the biggest thing that I learned through watching that, or realized through watching that, is it brought up a little bit of like sadness, and I kind of like dived into that, and I'm like, why did this bring up sadness? And I realized that it brought up sadness because I really did not take the time in high school for what it was worth. I knew that school wasn't for me. I knew that I was going to be doing exactly what I'm doing now, which is growing a business and chasing, that aspect of success. And that's all that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So throughout high school, all I could think about is I can't wait to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And be grinding my business. That's all I wanted. And so I really didn't, enjoy my time in high school, which is like, I feel like looking back on it now, like one of the best times of life. And unfortunately, I'll never get that again, and it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily regret it, because I don't think I regret much, and everything's like, all my experiences have developed me into like who I am, and I'm grateful for that. But I wish that not that I wish, because I'm not going to regret it, but I'm going to take that into these future seasons of my life, because that's who I am. I'm always future focused. And I think that comes with a lot of pros and cons. I think it comes with a lot of pros that have like, it keeps me always wanting to improve my life, because I walk through my life on a daily basis picturing what I could be, and that drives me to become that person.
Yeah.
But it also keeps me from living in the present moment, and now having that experience of having the outside perspective, looking back on high school and saying, wow, like I really didn't enjoy that, period of life, and I wish I would have. I want to like keep that in mind now moving forward in the present moment. Like, hey, yes, I'm not where I want to be, and I'm always thinking about where and who I want to be, but I also want to enjoy where I'm at right now, because that's a never-ending game.
Yeah, the problem with there's it's very challenging to balance like living in the present moment with wanting more in the future. You know what I mean? Because like you said, wanting more in the future can lead to a lot of pros, but all you have and all that's actually real is the present moment, because the future doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like it's a figment of your imagination of like what you think is going to happen. Yeah, and so if you're living in the future, you will always be comparing the present moment to what your future could be or what your past like wasn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you'll never be satisfied in the present moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how to have the both without taking away from the potential like upside of who I could be. And
the drive.
I know a lot of people say like, talk about balance, and I'm a big believer in balance, but at the same time, I think I have an internal belief I do have a belief that, yes, balance is a really great thing, but I think balance does take away from what you could be in any area. Whatever you're looking at, like, hey, I want to do this. Let's say, like...
Yeah, I mean, Pierce is literally a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. And so I do think balance takes away. But I think the only real best way to do it is through, like, be driven, be future-focused. But I think the best way to ground yourself in the present moment is just through like breath work and meditation.
I was gonna say gratitude of like the present.
And gratitude, yeah.
Because then you'll never be comparing it to what the future could be, because you're already like content and grateful for what the present moment is.
Oh, and a huge thing, this is another thing that these are just recent things. A huge thing that I learned, that this has been really great. So we went and watched Easton play tennis. I don't think I told you this part though.
Not sure.
But we went and watched Easton play tennis, and it was a really rough day. But he's been dealing with a shoulder injury. His shoulder was like really hurting him. And so he wasn't able to play at like his full capacity, right? And so he was super frustrated after the match. And my dad asked, are you comparing yourself to your best possible self? The best that you can play? And Easton said, yeah. And my dad said, but you're not your best possible self right now. You're injured. You literally can't be the best player that you can be right now. So why are you comparing yourself to that? And I started to kind of take that philosophy and started to look at it in my life. And I said that I'm always comparing myself to the best possible version of myself that I can create in my mind.
Yeah.
The person that is in absolute perfect shape, has all the business success and money that he could ever want. All these things, I have that perfect version of my mind. And every single day I'm comparing myself to that person. And I feel like I've been a little just disappointed and a little like sad in general recently. And it's been a frustrating feeling because I feel like I'm seeing success. And I think that I realize it's because I'm comparing myself to that really perfect version that in reality, I can't be that right now. Mm-hmm. In the future, maybe I could. But right now, I literally can't, because those things take time. They take consistent efforts over an extended period of time. And so I can't be that right now. So why am I choosing to live in the present moment with like suffering? Like that creates like living like you're suffering, living with like sadness, because you'll never live up to that. And so I kind of just started thinking about that and started thinking that like instead of doing that, instead of comparing myself to the image of who that is, I need to look at what are the actions that image of who that person is takes on a daily basis. Yeah. And instead of comparing myself to what it looks like, I need to compare myself on a daily basis to the actions that person would take, because then it would keep me in the present moment and not keep me living in a world of not being satisfied or fulfilled, but instead being in the present moment. And by doing that and by taking those actions, then eventually maybe I'll become that too.
Yeah.
I know that was kind of rambling, but I was trying to get to the point.
No, I got what you're saying.
I think that's something like really big I've learned recently.
I feel like a good reframe from comparing yourself to the best version of you, the future version of you, or who is accomplished or is everything you want to be. The good reframe is just, I know that what I'm doing and who I am today is going to lead me to the version of myself that I want. And then that's what you said, like taking the actions, or like basically just knowing that in the back of your head, like you're doing what you should be doing to get the goals or result that you want to get, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like the contentment with the present moment, I guess. So that's definitely that's definitely a good insight.
Because that's been bothering me. Like, I haven't wanted, like in Colorado, I didn't want to go really see old friends. It's because like, I really don't do good in like, or I don't want to say that. It's just really hard for me to be social right now because I feel like I'm like so unhappy with where I am right now, and I don't want to fucking feel like that, you know? Because the reality is, I'm closing a contract right now, or we're doing the job right now. That contract price is more money than most people will ever make an entire year. You know what I mean? And I don't like say that to like just, you know, like brag or anything, but the point is that I am doing really good, and so I should feel good about myself. I should feel really proud about myself. I shouldn't feel like I have to hide because I'm not the person that I want to be.
Yeah. It's just like, the higher standards you have and like the bigger things you chase in life, the more harsh you are on yourself typically. And I'm sure there's studies to like back that up. I don't know the exact science behind it, but I just know over the past year, it's like we've had some conversations where I'm like, I know you're like pushing it super hard, but that's going to like lead you to like hating your life. Yeah. Which like it's not entirely true, but that's why like I try and kind of look at, which is like, it's not going to get me as much results in the short term, but like to keep my mental peace, like a lot of what I say is like, I don't really want to be focused on certain things right now and like really going crazy on certain aspects. And like, I know if I don't really want to, or if I'm not super passionate or driven to do it right now, I probably shouldn't like force myself to do it regardless, you know? But that could also be seen as like a cop out or like an excuse, which is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you don't know.
It's a hard balance.
That's what I mean. Like you never really know what is self-sabotage and what is like self-preservation or like good for you.
That's so true. And that's why there's no right answer. It's do whatever you think is right in that moment, and in a few months, a year, years, you'll look back and you'll say, how did that affect my life? And then you'll change, and you'll, you know, come up with new philosophies that you believe, and then you'll try that.
Yeah, because you'll get smarter as you go along. You'll learn more about yourself. You'll learn more about the world, etc. But yeah, bro, just fired up the Corvette. Sounds pretty good, low key.
Yeah,
sheesh, I'm gonna go steal it from that guy. But I would get a wrap and replace the rims because it's ugly.
Yeah. Is there anything else you really want to talk about?
No, I think we got into some good stuff at the end there. So I think it was probably a good amount of stuff for the first pod back.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad to be doing it again. Yeah. If you guys watched to the end, we definitely appreciate that. Appreciate you tuning in, spending some time with us. Hopefully you learned something or just enjoyed hearing us talk. If you stayed till the end, we want you to comment banana in the comments right now, and we'll know that you're a real one. And if you have any suggestions or any thoughts or anything, definitely leave it, because we really enjoy like the feedback and everything too.
Conversation topics for future pods. We're gonna do some episodes that have like a little more structure to them in terms of like the topics we hit on. This one was kind of just like get back into it, talk about the past year and like our mindsets going forward, which we like dove into like a decent amount, I would say.
Yeah.
And then in the future we'll have guests on, and we might bring up certain topics or like ask questions from whatever Instagram, YouTube comments, etc. But yeah, all of our personal pages will be linked down in the description as well. Dawson's gonna grind YouTube this year, so better lock in for that.
Right on. Good stuff.
Peace.
Peace.